Pokemon is the world's biggest media franchise. They have consistently sold millions of copies of games for years, large in part to its addictive gameplay and smart design. But how did this come to be? Let's take a look back at the very beginning of Pokemon. On August 28, 1965, in Japan, Satoshi Tajiri was born. As he grew up, he loved to explore the wilderness. His favorite thing to do was collect bugs and other small critters, and he would experiment different ways to find them, such as leaving big rocks under trees and checking them later. He would do this so often that at school his teachers would allow him to present what he had found to the class, and even gave him the nickname of Dr. Bug. When he wasn't collecting bugs, he was usually at the arcade, mainly playing his favorite game, Space Invaders. As he got older, and spent more time playing video games, it would upset his parents, especially his father, as his school grades would start to slip. It was around this time that Tajiri would create Game Freak magazine, a magazine that he would write by himself, where he would write tips and tricks on different video games. Everything would be put together by hand, stapled together, all the work done by Tajiri himself. He would, however, attract the attention of illustrator Ken Sugimori, who would reach out and want to help with the project. They would become partners in this project, not knowing what it would become.
Hey, little buddy, want a ride?
Pikachu!
Yeah, whatever. I'll be right back.
Where can you catch all 150 Pokemon?
Gotcha.
On your Game Boy, that's where. Pokemon for Game Boy is here. With both packs, you can catch them all. Games and systems sold.
After working on the magazine for a while, Tajiri had gotten the urge to create his own video game, and was inspired by the Game Boy's link cable. He would imagine critters crawling from one Game Boy to the other through the cable. He got the idea further from his own experience playing Dragon Quest II, where he spent a long time looking for a rare item, but was struggling to find it, while his friend, Sugimori, who had also been playing the game, had had two of them. They wished there was a way that they could trade items between them. Tajiri would blend his love for bug catching and one of his favorite TV shows, Ultraman, who would shrink his kaiju monsters into capsules. And this is actually where Tajiri would have gotten the original name for Pokemon, as he wanted to call it Capsule Monsters, but it was too close to the capsules used in Ultraman, so instead he would call it Pocket Monsters, or Pokemon. Sugimori would stay on and be the illustrator for the games, creating many of the popular designs that we know today. And they would also bring on Junichi Masuda, who would be the game's composer. Tajiri first pitched the idea of Pokemon to Nintendo in 1990, but originally they didn't see the idea the same way Tajiri did, until they were convinced by legendary game creator Shigeru Miyamoto, who had thought that this could be something special, and convinced Nintendo to greenlight the project. And with that approval, the team at Game Freak would get hard to work. Tajiri wanted kids to experience what he had experienced collecting bugs, as the area he grew up in was now being more urbanized. He wanted the game world to resemble what he had grown up in. The Kanto world map was actually based off the real Kanto region in Japan. The concept was to travel and catch creatures. You would have them fight each other, but at the same time, he didn't want kids to think of violence when playing the game, so he made sure there was no blood, and the Pokemon would faint instead of dying. The team that worked on the game was only around 10 people, and they were using very outdated computers to do so. The team would commonly experience computer crashes, and one crash nearly lost the team almost 4 years of work, and that would have been catastrophic as they never would have been able to recover. While working on the games, the team was trying to find a way to make sure that kids would actually want to trade, and it was actually Shigeru Miyamoto who suggested to make 2 versions of the game. Each version of the game would have exclusive Pokemon on each card that you would have to trade to the other one to get them on your Pokedex. The idea would spark the team as they would finish the first copies, naming them Pocket Monsters Red and Green.
ねえねえ、私のポケットモンスターと勝負しない？
あんただれ？
モンスター全部で150種類。通信ケーブルでモンスター取り替えっこ。スーパーゲームボーイならカラーで綺麗。仲間が増えるロールプレイング。ポケットモンスター。赤を買うか緑を買うかちょっと違うよ。
The games would release in 1997 and would be very, very successful. They would, however, make Pokemon Blue, celebrating the 1 million units sold mark, which would have updated sprites as the originals were just absolutely terrible. This copy would originally only be available through mail order and would be the base version of the North American Red and Blue, which would release in 1998 and spark Pokemania around the world. They still would not be done, however. In 1998, they would also release Pokemon Yellow, which would follow the popular anime at the time, and would have a following Pikachu and popular characters in the anime like Jessie and James. Following what they did in Blue, this game would also have updated sprites and would be the best ones of the generation. The game would still have some bugs and glitches, most famously being the missing no glitch, and there were some moves that wouldn't do what they were supposed to do. But I do feel like the games get a worse reputation than they deserve. Calling them completely unplayable is just nonsense in my eyes. As I go back, I can play these games regularly, and I always have a great time doing it. Tajiri was criticized for releasing the games on such old hardware, as when the games finally did come out, the Game Boy was almost 10 years old. However, the games would be an absolute success. They would sell for a combined 46 million units worldwide, making them the best-selling games on the Game Boy. These games would get credit for breathing brand new life into this Game Boy, as it would boost the sales of the Game Boy, so I would say Tajiri's gamble definitely paid off in a big, big way. The success of these games would bring light to many new ventures, such as toys, TV shows, movies, and most notable, its card game, which is still just as popular now as it was when I was a kid. Personally, the best parts of these games are the endless creations that you can have. You can play through them on more than one occasion, and you'll always use something different. You'll find something different, and you'll experience a whole new adventure every single time. To me, these games just don't get old. The three Generation 1 games were so popular that they were even re-released on the 3DS Virtual Console on February 27th, 2016. This would be to celebrate Pokemon's 20th anniversary at the time. And with that, that is a brief breakdown of the creation of the Generation 1 Pokemon games. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, as it would help my small channel grow, and then I can make more of these videos and have more fun in the future.